I thought I would do a little fish room, Angelfish room anymore, pretty much, tour for some of my old friends in some old groups and some new friends in new groups. Um, this is my first out crossing from um, smoky leopards. I got the Pariba gene in there, so I kind of lost my leopard and gained some clowns, I guess. But they're looking good. I'm still getting the lacing in the tail. Um, and I'm going to start working after I get this cross end done, breeding out the Pariba in a line so that it will be some Pinoy laces, some zebra Pinoy laces, and so forth. This tank is some of my fish that I bought from other breeders that I'm bringing back in. This is a male that I've never got to breed. It is actually an albino Pinoy. It's from a batch. It's from a breeder in Iowa, and it's from a batch of Pinoys. He had about 10 albinos, and it's also pearl scale. So I thought this would be a good group to try to breed it into. That is a Pariba that Becky sent me with these beautiful veils, and I do have one wide fin. It's a female, and she's kind of picked a spot where she wants to breed, and she hides there now. This zebra has been showing some interest. That would be a good pairing. I'd kind of like to get the veil in it, so I'm hoping he picks a veil. Get a little closer for you guys. They're just really amazing. I also have some long fin albino bushy noses in here. I'm hoping to have a pair. I also have a super red ancestress male in here. Ancestress. That's such a hard word for me to say because it always goes bad. Anyway, there he is. Looking a little pink in here. But there's some of the nicer color on it. Those are all volunteer diamonds. I bought some when I first moved here, put them in a tank, and moms and dads started dying like crazy from the worst cottonmouth I'd ever seen. So aggressive, it was killing fish faster than I could treat them. But one pair evidently spawned, and I ended up raising 5 of them, plus I think mom, so there's 6 of them in here. One of them needs to be cold. I just haven't had the heart. You see him there. There's the albino Pinoy. Just beautiful fish from Becky. These are all the leftovers that I kept to get the 2 that I've got. I don't have tank space. I run about 330 gallons. 40 of them are down. 50 are in another room. This tank is a 55 with way too many fish. I do 33% water changes a day on this tank. If you guys see anything you like, let me know. Make a deal. Make me a deal. I'm waiting for a local fish shop to open up a tank for him. And he's lowballing me on store credit. So if anybody wants to take a few of these, everybody's pairing up. This tank is constantly in a row because somebody's trying to pick a spot to breed. One of my red lasers decided to show up. Then my last batch of zebras. The zebra in the first tank you saw, I sold its mate. I wanted to try to keep that genetics in for later on. I'm keeping 7 of these, 3 for me, and 4 for a friend that's setting up a 40-gallon and wants to get a pair going. Some of them are pretty nice. I'm going to keep for myself the ones with the darker majority, the more visible stripes. Got a couple others in here, stragglers from others that just haven't sold or gotten rid of, but there's some nice ones in here, some junk in here too. Anybody interested in these, make me a deal. They're going to the local fish shop. And of course, guys, in groups, I'll cherry pick them for you. This is the pair of the babies that are in the incubator. I have the reverse pair outside. The sexes are opposite. So I've got a pair where the leopard's a female, the leopard's a male. And then the super veils, so these will all be veils. They have the Ariba in them, so I may get a few clowns, smoky clowns, but mostly they'll be just pretty much smoky's probably what you're going to see mostly of. And Pariba. The mom of those leopards is a chocolate Pariba. My first self-raisers, a chocolate Pariba, and a albino. It was sold to me as a 50% albino multiple hex. So he wouldn't call them a Dantum. It is albino. I've had people tell me it's wrong. He's here because he is my standard for a standard fin. Let's see if I can get him in here a little bit. There we go. Great fin to body ratio. He's got the extended fin rays, tails, pectoral. His dorsal is not so much, but he does have some also. If you get in closer, you can see him. That is my standard for a standard angelfish. So I kept it. This is my hodgepodge tank. I've got two leftover turquoise rainbows. I've got a pair of blue zebras in here with a stunted female. They paired off, and I've just got a kind heart, so they kind of stayed, at least for a while. This tank also has my Kohler in it. It's a biker, a saddleback biker, and my angels have disappeared. Well, there's the male. That is a brother to the male in the other tank. They spawn about every 10 days. Oh, the female's hiding. They spawn about every 10 days, and nothing ever comes of the eggs. I don't know if she's okay. This is my oldest tank that's set up. I moved it, planted and everything. It's my shrimp tank, so it's full of algae. There's also a small colony of CPDs in here. And this is where I grow all of my... This is actually dwarf sage, and if you want to really get technical and sort through it, there's also I can't think. Used to be the same family as a sword, but it's a really small dwarf version. Looks like just like jungle or just like dwarf sage, except the blades are narrower. And then of course the babies. Still going, not too many more white ones. I've shot all these videos over a course of 4 days so that I could get the whole process in for some new people who hadn't seen artificial hatching. Sorry about all the light. I have too much light pollution. Let's see if we can get them to... They're wiggling, more and more of them. Should be going free swimming in a couple days. Well, I hope you enjoyed my fish room. 330 gallons. I've got another 115 I can set up, so it's getting busy around here. I'm gonna have to get those up and running, and I'm gonna have to start moving out some small dime-sized fish. I'll keep you advised. And then of course a 20 long in here that's right now just a growing plant. I tried growing something outside of the tank, and so it's not doing much right now. It's got a couple fish in it, a couple quarries, and then the 29 for basically the 50 gallons. Oh, I'm sorry about the noise in the background. I forgot to turn off the TV. But anyway, that was pair number one to pair off. They've not been successful with 2 spawns now. This is the 3rd day, and I do have fungus. They were pretty clear yesterday, and then all of a sudden they went. I still have a lot of good eggs. So, got several good eggs down here, and then a few bad ones. So I'm getting ready to switch these over for any of you who've never hatched artificially. I use a method from Mike's fish tanks, I believe it was called. I haven't seen him post anything recently. And it's chlorinated water, just right out of the tap, and then hydrogen peroxide. I have an issue, sorry about the reflections. I have an issue here in Colorado. I don't use RO water. I love my hobby, but I don't want to get that committed. That takes a lot more time mixing and everything. So I hatch an 8 pH pretty hard, but it's not as hard as some water. It has almost no buffer. Anyway, so I get a lot of this. I lose probably about half my batch to fungus, just because they're not fertilized. The sperm doesn't penetrate the outer shell of the egg as well in hard water as it does in soft water for angelfish. So you get a lot of unfertilized egg. This is also their very first spawn. So next I am going to blow them off the leaf and then start sorting out. And today they go in their last water that is chlorinated, and this one will have 3 drops of hydrogen peroxide in a gallon of water. And tomorrow they'll go in on a filter and set them up to finish hatching. This part is I hate. I'm blind in one eye, and I have to go in and separate out the good eggs from the bad eggs. It doesn't look like many good eggs, but there are still plenty of them down there. I see them moving. So it's just this carpet makes it tough, especially with my blind eye. Today was the last day of the hydrogen peroxide and chlorinated water, so they got their sponges. Get in here a little closer. I know it's grainy, see if it'll focus. Got a few white ones. I did see a couple albinos in here, so anything that didn't look fuzzy I kind of kept. I'll pull them out the next day or two. This tank will start getting 10% water changes every day. And of course the jar's inside the tank, so they're actually in 10 gallons of water. That's of course an old sponge filter. I keep it around to move into tanks when I have babies. I always try to keep 1 or 2 going. And so we've got about 100, 150. Let me see if I can get them to focus in a little better. Sorry about that. And these are this pair's first spawn. So I'm excited. It's the first generation with an outcrossing.